I wonder what's in here. Fur. Oh look, it's some Thousand Suns. Oh. I think that's everything that hasn't been painted black. Oh no, there's one more. Everything else has had its black done. Good. I didn't even realise there was another tactical squad in here. That's good. It's always nice to find out you've got an extra 10 men that you didn't realise you had. Right, let's put that away and get started. Good evening, chaps, chapesses, and everything in between. How's everybody doing? This was very nearly renamed Bando's Angry Stream after several members of the Outer Circles Discord decided to commit heresy while talking about Star Wars. I will not have Michael Stackpole's masterpiece of the X-Wing series criticised. So, anybody working on anything fun and interesting at the moment? My week has been hell. 2 engineers down at work, so that's been fun. It's been raining here in the UK, so that's nice, which means we're not boiling hot anymore, we're just now soaking wet. The duality of the UK. Nearly got hit by a car, that was fun. Yeah, it's been a banging week for me. Just using the old DT Combat paints still, trying them out for all sorts of different things, seeing how I get on with them. and I've ordered another one called Talakan Red, which is a very dark burgundy-ish red. I was originally trying to use to get one of their washes, but all the washes are back ordered and won't be available until November. And I needed these other things in my order much sooner than that. Oh, I'm so sick and tired of painting Mark 6 Marines. I really am. It's Dr. Oh No. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you as always. Still deciding whether to get a 3D printed back door for my Impulsor. Might leave it as is since I put tracks on it. Nice, nice. I mean, that's an aesthetic question more than anything, really, isn't it? You know, do you want it to have a cool back door? You know, do you use decals a lot? Decals can make things look really cool. In my opinion, decals are always better than embossed details. I am surviving, Doc. I am surviving. Got to see my best friend for the first time in 2 weeks since his newborn turned up, so that was nice. Inconsiderate bastard, having a child and everything. Not paying me enough attention. He's probably going to end up watching this, so I'm never going to hear the end of that. I've been looking at cameras for streaming and all that, and oh, it makes my brain hurt looking at all the numbers and everything. So I thought, oh, I could just get a second phone and use that. And every phone on the market that I can afford has a worse camera than my 6-year-old OnePlus phone. So that was really good. Yeah, there's a little bit of a pain in the backside, but I'm sure I'll figure it out. It's just occurred to me that the arms are different armour marks. That's good. How did I manage that? I'm really hoping I can get some progress made on these. I've got to sort out some more storage space for everything. That's the big one at the moment. I'm running out of display space for my models, which is a nice problem to have. But I don't just want to throw everything into a KR case and stuff it under my desk. because what's the point of making everything look pretty if you're just going to hide it? One down. I should really keep up with current affairs for Warhammer. I actually don't watch a lot of Warhammer videos on YouTube anymore. I know there's been a bit of a hubbub on the old Bolter and Chainsword about... some people seem to think that the stripping of options from models is better and frees you up to make better conversion choices. Because if the unit only has one legal loadout, it doesn't matter what you model them with, they are, this one unit. So if the unit can only have, bolt pistols and chainswords, it doesn't matter if you've given them all scythes and that sort of thing. Those count as chainswords. And I can see where they're coming from, but there's going to be some confusion there. I see a bunch of guys with underhammers and go, hang about, are those underhammers or are they chainswords? And I instinctively don't want to move certain units close to them. And yeah, that's more of a subconscious problem, but it's still a bit of a problem in my opinion. Plus, I don't like the lack of options. I like being able to make a unit that's my own. It's got my choices. I've always disliked cookie cutter setups. That this is the only thing you can do, this is the most effective tactic, that sort of thing. I despise the meta, I always have. I want to employ tactics of my own, I want to build a thematic army. No one's going to say that Flamer and Las Cannon is the best choice for a loadout for a tactical squad, but actually you might have a fluff reason for it to be there. Hey, Cyan, how you doing? Yeah, I'd rather have all my models be WYSIWYG, but that might just be my OCD getting the upper hand. Yeah, that too. We can proxy as much as we want, but at the end of the day, the rules do state if it's WYSIWYG, it's supposed to be WYSIWYG. And, yeah, I could make a really cool unit with some funky weapons, but if a tournament organiser says, oh, I'm sorry, those aren't Astartes chainswords, or whatever the fuck they're going to use, I might be in trouble, Not that I play at tournaments. I have, however, signed up to do a Necromunda campaign in my local area. And I will be doing hot pink and black squats. Yeah, spooky. Flames are cool. I have a Flamer support section in this army, actually, in my Thousand Sons, that I like. I actually need to redo the Sergeant, because in first edition he could have a combi bolter and now he can't. So I need to go back and give him just a regular boring Flamer. I always ascribe to yes, Internet Man, I am painting miniatures. That's what I'm doing. Yeah, so I always ascribe to the old rules from Necromunda, which was you have to see the weapons, but everything else could be in pouches, it could be in holsters. If he's got a pistol, it could be in a pouch or a holster. If it's something like a sword, it could be in a scabbard. but it should be easily identifiable roughly as to what they've got. But yeah, I mean, a while back I tried making... I was planning out a Black Templars Phobos army, because I thought I might as well try and make a Primaris army of some sort. And I thought Black Templar Phobos, no one's going to do that. And then I looked at what you can actually take for these Phobos Marines, and there was no customization whatsoever. So I just lost all interest almost instantly. For your hot pink squats, do a blue-black with hot pink being the accent colour. I'm probably going to do a flat black for the cloth, and then I will heavily chip and weather the armour, which will be the pink, and I'll be using Doomfire Magenta for that. Because I really like Doomfire Magenta as a colour, and you know, I bought it and made the mistake that now I have to use it. So, we had that new Space Wolf Praetor this week. That was a nice surprise. And the new Mark 6 heads were a really nice surprise as well. It's got me hoping we get to see 1,000 Suns Praetor next week. I doubt we will, but it would be nice to see. In fact, we might get all of the Praetors now that they're doing Mark 3 armour. Although World Eaters in Mark 3 would be weird. One of the things that suck about 40k since 8th is the lack of customization for gear. Yep, absolutely. Like, what if I wanted a marshal with Thunderhammer? Nope, axe or sword only. Yeah. I mean, I don't mind if they're just power weapons. You know, and you can have anything. There is a compromise to be had. You know, having 4 or 5, like the whole power sword, lance, axe, mace, maul. And then the charnable versions of all of those as well. It's a little bit much, but there is a healthy balance between the two we can find. The lore for my guard is they're hunting a Chaos Knight house as part of a penitent crusade. Should really give them more las cannons and heavy stuff than flamers. I mean, flamers is fine. You know, they're purging the unclean, and it's a punishment. They're not going to give them the top of the line gear for a punishment thing. The idea of a penitent crusade is you suffer, and you die. Yeah, the whole idea for penitent crusades really was that if you survived, that meant that the emperor had watched over you, and you'd been forgiven. You wouldn't, because they don't trust you, basically. Although picking a fight with a Chaos Knight with just a flamer is a little bit ballsy. It's definitely not something I'd want to try and do. The only problem I find with this Angron Red over gold is that other paints don't seem to cover particularly well over it. End up having to do 2 or 3 coats of black, which is not great. So, what do we reckon that the starter set for 11th edition is going to be then? I reckon we'll go back to orcs. Orcs or chaos. First time I've seen Bando use a pallet and not just a piece of plastic. There's plenty of pieces of plastic about I can use, but yes, I do have several pallets. I come from a time where it was make do for a lot of hobby stuff. You know, the articles on how to paint models had them using plates. Oh, Dr. No, yes, Crimson Fist versus Orcs. Oh, the Battle of New Rindsworld. That would be so cool. Get a Crimson Fist like supplement for the Codex. You get the inevitable Land Raider replacement, like the Grav Land Raider, and it will turn out that they get a named one that's named. Well, it's the same one. What's it called? Is it Rin's Fury? But it's the one that killed all the orcs on its own. That would be cool. Yes, the captain is the one holding the orc head from the classic artwork. Oh, please, be still my beating heart. I would buy that starter set in a heartbeat and paint it up as Crimson Fist. I do like the Crimson Fists. Oh. It's such a shame that Primaris Marines suck. I still hold the belief that Primaris Marines will disappear eventually. Eventually they'll drop it, they'll just call them Space Marines again, and the styling will start moving back towards more generic Mark 7 and mixes of armour. Yeah, new Pedro Cantor model will be really cool as well. I want to see some new characters. Like, a lot of the Marine chapters just don't have characters. Give us some really interesting ones. You'll never get a starter set that doesn't have Marines. It just will never happen. Marines outsell every single army by orders of magnitude. So there will always be Marines as one side of a starter set. I'd like to have a starter set with someone else, but it's just never going to happen. Not unless Eldar starts selling really, really fucking well. Grey Knights versus Demons would be a cool battle set, but I doubt they'd ever do that as a starter set. Because they're not standard Marines. It'll be interesting to see what Grey Knights get this edition, because rumour has it that every faction's getting, like, one model. If they're not just getting one model, they're getting, at most, a kill team, basically, is what I've heard. So that'll be really interesting to see what happens to Grey Knights, because if they get another edition where they don't get any new models or anything, it's going to be kind of sucky. Havoc is spot on. Yeah, it's a vicious cycle. They sell so well because they get new models. They get new models because they sell so well. It's why Eldar don't sell very well. It's why Dark Eldar don't sell very well. You know, you're telling me that if you didn't drop a whole bunch of Dark Eldar, including like a Tantalus, a new Vect model, new, you know, Wraiths, new Racks, new Mandrakes, all at once, that wouldn't sell? I guarantee it would, because I'd buy them. I'd love to have a plastic Tantalus model, that'd be cool. And it would be a perfect dual kit to have Vect on. Yeah, all starter sets need to really be doable as Ultramarines, basically. This is really annoying me that I can't seem to keep this in focus for you. So, back in the day when the release of one of the Marine Flyers, I can't remember which one it was, the Storm Pigeon or something, it was the one that came out and it was painted like a Blood Angel Flyer, but everyone could take it. They estimated, I think it was 40% loss in sales for that one unit, simply because it was painted as Blood Angels. And loads of people didn't realise you could take it for every Marine army. They thought it was just a Blood Angels thing. So that's why all Marines are always painted as Ultramarines. Yeah, I reckon you get a Primaris Land Raider soon to replace the 20-something-year-old Phobos or whatever it is. It's not Proteus Land Raider, is it? I can't remember. So we'll get a Grav Land Raider. Or maybe even just an upscaled Land Raider. And then, yeah, that'll have las cannons and hurricane bolters, probably. Give me upscaled Grey Knights, a new Drago, something to replace the Dread Knight, and I'll start the army immediately. Oh yeah. Upscaled Grey Knights, Terminators with better posing, a generic multi-part leader, a new Drago model, and honestly, the Dread Knight's fine. Just turn it into a Dreadnought. Like, literally, just put a Dreadnought front on it. That's it. And make it more posable. Make it as posable as the new Knights and stuff, and the new Dreadnoughts. And, yeah, I think you'd be onto a winner with that one. Maybe give them Contempt of Dreadnoughts. Make them the only Marine faction that can take Contempt of Dreadnoughts. I think that'd be really cool. I always wanted to do a proto Grey Knights army. So like not it would be Grey Knights, but very early on in their existence. So a Scouring era force made up of like Cataphracti Terminators. Maybe even Tartarus Terminators would have been cool. Using the old nullificator rules. I don't expect Templars to get much this release. Maybe a Isn't one of their squads like an easy to build squad? Isn't the Crusader squad an easy to build squad? But no, I reckon they'll probably just get some character. Thing is, Crow fits the new scaling. So actually, I don't think they'll get Primaris. I reckon they'll just get upscaled. Maybe, yeah, I mean, it'd be really simple. You just have, like, a single line of fluff about how the Grey Knights distrust Primaris Marines. Maybe they sense some darkness in them. And that's it. That's all you need, is that single line of, oh, yeah, they distrust them, they sense darkness in them, so they don't accept them. And that's it, they're done, you know. They get new models, there's a reason that they're still firstborn, they're rescaled. That's it. Plus it gives you a nice open for some theory crafting and debate on what is this darkness, why are they distrusted, what's Cool up to, how the hell did Cool know that the Grey Knights were even a thing to send them. That sort of thing. I'm still surprised that the rumours don't have a new Ezekiel model as well for the Dark Angels. He was always one of my favourites. Yeah, the new Templars upgrade set, while not as good as the old one, is still a pretty good set, especially for Heresy if you're doing Imperial Fists. Ever used metallic night scales from Army Painter? No, I have not. I'm not a big fan of Army Painter paints. I used to be, until I tried other paints. I struggle with them. They need shaking too much. They don't mix well. They're just poor. However, I know that they've been working on it. I know they've been working really hard to make their paints better. And I know that their CEO is really good at communicating with the community and taking on feedback, which puts them up several places in my books. So, like, I know their speed paints weren't really good, and they took them off the market and fixed a lot of the problems with them. So that gets an A in my book, because any company that's willing to admit that they made a mistake and fix it, that's good. Nice handy trick on making some interesting Terminators. The Tartarus Terminators mix perfectly with the 40k kit. So yeah, that's all I did. I got 10 Terminators for the price of 10 Terminators. They are pretty cheap. That is one of the saving graces of Army Painter. It's one of the big problems with like Duncan Rhodes' set, is that his paints are very expensive for what they are. It's the same with the Pro Acryl stuff. Pro Acryl's really expensive, but they are really good paints. But if the initial outlay is too expensive, you're going to not get new blood picking them up. Like, I walked around Salute last year. Might have even been this year, actually. I'm not joking. I walked around the entire hall about 12 times because I'd seen Pro Acryl paints for sale, and I'd went, oh, I'll go back and have a look at those. And I eventually found them, And I went over and I looked at the starter set and it was about £80. And I was like, oh, okay, so I'm not buying those. I've actually got my first one on order. I've ordered a titanium white because that apparently is the best white paint on the market at the moment. So I'm going to give that a go. And I'll let you know how it goes. So yeah, hey Jogan, I'm assuming you're meaning Duncan. Yes, yeah, his tutorials are great. He's a lovely person. I met him at Salute. He's really friendly, very genuine. The person you see on the screen is 100% who you see in real life as well. I'm not even going to try and pronounce that. I'm going to call you Mr. Zoo. But hi, recent YouTube viewer, first time on stream. Have someone kit bash my rampages with? Yeah, welcome. Good to have you. I've got a lot of Army Painter paints, but I still use them. I mean, I've got them as well. They've definitely been languishing a bit, over using Scale 75 or these new TT Combat paints, but I've got loads. I keep meaning to buy a vortex mixer and then go back and just absolutely hammer all of my paints and then try them out again. But those things are expensive. So, latest update on my 3D printed debacle. I got a message that they were being posted on, I think, Monday, and they've still not arrived. So, yeah. I have issues. I don't think I can just commit to drawing a line under it and saying this has failed. But I probably should. I remember a long time ago in a galaxy far away, probably back around about 5th edition, someone, I can't remember who it was, posted some Imperial Fist Marines on the Bolter and Chainsword, and they were beautiful. And people were asking this guy, hey, what's your recipe for yellow? What's your recipe for yellow? Just over and over again, pestering it, like 200 posts in an hour sort of thing. And he wouldn't tell anyone. He just like, I'm not telling. And people were getting really angry in the comments. And then I think he eventually did. And it was, he was using a flesh tone, like bronzed flesh. And then he was airbrushing over that with a yellow. And people were just like, you can use flesh tone to do that? Because it was really warm. It wasn't just a washed out yellow like it was over white. And then suddenly everyone was like, oh, we can use flesh tone to do yellow. It was always nice seeing someone painting yellow really well before everyone had airbrushes. Havoc, yes. So, what, July 7th, I think I ordered it. So it's got to be something like 70 odd days. Yeah, some people do lack creativity, but you can't expect everyone to be kind of a creative genius or, you know, have that spark in them, because then if they did, it wouldn't be special, would it? You know, if everyone was an artist, then no one's an artist, basically. This stream brought to you by an increased heart rate and a shorter lifespan. Ugh. What's this thing? Tropical fruit sour punch, because that sounds healthy. Oh, it smells like bad decisions. And pick your own strawberries. It tastes like burning. Bando, when are you going to start painting your a game of Armoured Combat box set? I'm assuming you mean... I don't even know where it is. Oh, there it is. I'm assuming you mean this. No idea. I will take it apart and review it at some point. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't got any plans to do it this week, but I might do. It's just been a bit hectic with everyone off at work. Some people don't have the models or money to experiment by painting yellow using a skin tone. You're right, absolutely spot on, and I was one of those people. I had 3 Space Marine armies that were the same army, and I just kept stripping them using Dettol over and over and over again. I had the nicest smelling Space Marines in the 41st millennium. Yeah, I did. Actually, no, it was 4. It was my wannabe Blood Ravens before Blood Ravens were a thing. It was Relictors. It was then Emperor's Children, Pre-Heresy Emperor's Children, and then it was Sons of Medusa. I wish I'd kept some more of those. I wish I knew where they went. But some of them were very worn out by the end. That kit bashing and converting I'd done on them. So I'm off to this local bring and buy thing at one of my local game clubs tomorrow. I'm really hoping I get something good. Not that I've got the money to waste or anything, but I don't know, I've just got the urge to buy something. I don't mind if it's painted and stuff and I need to strip it. That's fine. I got a box full of models I need to strip anyway, but I got the pangs. I got the addiction. I really want a Cerestus Assault Ram. I have absolutely no need for it, and I really can't afford one, but I really, really want one. I also really want the Malcador, the Vanquisher one, to do that up for my Raven Guard. Because I think that's going to fit them nicely. Still got lots of work to do on my word bearers for Heresy, mainly tanks and dreads. Lorgar and Erebus, fuck Erebus, are last on my list. Then done until we finally get a Ruinstorm book going Iron Hands next. Nice, Robert, that's pretty cool. I've just base coated my next 2 Iron Hands. My Forge Lord. And my last Gorgone. So yeah, I need to do, what do you call them? Washers, glazers. Yeah, I use my airbrush and I I give it some spots of green and purple using surprisingly clear and green and purple paints. I think I used Druki Violet and I can't remember the green one. And then I do a couple of layers of transparent black over it. And it comes out... Whoop! Creaky chair, it's creaky! I think it comes out okay. And then I've got to strip this thing at some point. And I've got to get some sponsons for it. Some hatches. I'm replacing that. Yeah, I need to get a new big whip antenna to put over there. Not that the army actually has anything that needs a Land Raider in it. I'm addicted to kit bashing and modelling. I've got 30 support marines to paint, primed and everything. I'm sitting here bashing 10 more rampages. That's the way it is. I'm sorry, that's just, you know. There's a reason that my desk is filled with more and more models, and I'm constantly trying to get through a backlog because I get distracted by too many projects. That's why I've said I'm not painting any more, I'm not doing any more Imperial Fists until the Praetors are out for the other legions. It's the only way I can stop myself from just constantly expanding armies. And here I am, like, planning on starting 3 more armies. Yeah, I want to do that Proto Sons of Aura Assault Marine army, and it was going to need 64 jump packs. 64 jump packs. Only one character. It was at a chaplain. Was the only character. 2 units of 20 assault marines, 1 unit of 10, a unit of destroyers, and I think that was it. 40, 50, yeah. Oh, and three apothecaries. That was it. 3 jump apothecaries. Convert a ram from 2 of those Space Wolf flying things. Spooky, you're absolutely right. I have thought about that way more than I should have. I remember when that guy used pink for yellow. Yeah, that's Goobertown Hobbies did a really good video on that, painting up some Chaos Warriors, basically, using pink. Same sort of principle. That was quite a good video, and now everyone does it with pink. If you need any help picking out a scheme for either of those mechs, let me know. I know nothing about Battletech whatsoever, so that would be great. I'm sure we can have a chat about that at some point. Almost finished building 5 jump assault intercessors. Just need a little, put a little knob of green stuff under the shoulders and drill the barrels. Intercessors, but nice. It was nice. Want to add some automata in an Iron Hands. Yeah, so my Iron Hands are going to be a mix between Assault Marines and Brethren of Iron, or Brotherhood of Iron, whatever it's called. And I'm going to get what's the big one? Thanatar? There's a Thanatar and I think 2 Domitars. And there was something else, but I can't remember what it was planned in the list. Let's go out. Oh, it might have been some Voraks. And then all of the Iron Hands were going to be fast attack. They were all going to be jump packs, siphons, speeders, that sort of thing. Because my Shattered Legions all do the wrong things. So my Iron Hands are all fast, speedy boys, and my Raven Guard are all heavy weapons, and my Salamanders are all sneaky. I like the minis of BattleTech, I just don't like the amount of maths involved. Wait, no one told me there was maths involved. Alright, I quit. I'm not doing BattleTech. I took GCSE maths 3 times. And I still only got out of it with a C. Maths is not even close to my strong point. I wouldn't even consider it my weak point. It's not even that high. Funnily enough, I'm doing the opposite. Finish the Iron Hands and going into Word Bearers. Yeah, that's cool. I've got plans to do a Word Bearers army. I want to do like a heavy Galvor back, so it's going to be lots of corrupted dreadnoughts. Honestly, love how weathered that Land Raider looks. So I'll grab that again. Let me show it off to you. So I actually used the hairspray chipping method on this one. So it was lots of layers of brown. I paint it all up like a rusty brown, and then I give it a coat of hairspray, and then I did the coat of black. Can't remember actually what black it is I used for this. And then using a wet brush, I just picked away at where I didn't want it, and then I went back with Oxford blue, I think it is. It's a slightly purpley colour, and I picked out the undersides of all of the bigger chips. Let me see if I can get that light turned on so that shows a bit better. Not really. That shows it a bit better. It's not as noticeable for some reason. You can just about here you can see there's like an actual layer height difference between the brown and the black. It's actually a lot more noticeable on the few intercessors I painted like this. You can actually see there is a height difference between the paint, which really added to the look. I was very proud of that symbol. That metallic looked really good when I did it. So yeah. And this was actually the first Land Raider I'd ever built. So that was quite a big surprise as well. It was a Crusader for some reason. I don't know why I bought a Land Raider Crusader. And the extra armour was a present for Christmas, I think. So it's proper Forge World. Not Chinese Forge World. So that's why I've kept it around. Let's turn that off. You're welcome for the Sons of Aura image. Glad I can contribute to your poor financial decisions. It's going to be a poor financial decision when I find out how much it's going to cost to print out 64 jump pack guys with Mark II jump packs, Mark IV bodies, and throw in some Mark II and Mark III bits. Also, all of the destroyers have the dual Serpenter option as well, so I need those. So yeah, it's absolutely your fault. I'm thinking of getting a Mark II or Mark IV squad, mixing them with Chaos Space Marines kit for a Despoiler squad. Go for it. I've mixed Mark IV bits with a lot of my Chaos Space Marine stuff for veterans. I like the look of it. Don't even know where the camera is anymore. Mark III stuff works really well as well because it's nice and brutal looking. So yes, definitely go for that one. I thought Iron Warriors are tempting me, to be honest. Okay, yeah, Iron Warriors are cool. I will be painting up some epic stuff as Iron Warriors when it arrives. Don't think I'll do another 30k project unless they do something Scouring or Age of Apostasy based. That sounds like quitter talk to me, and we don't like quitters around here. So you need to do better, Spooky. That sounds like you need to start a new army. Any advice for painting the effects of glass like windshields? Yeah, give me 2 seconds. Let me go grab a quick model. I'll be right back. There is wholly too much tactical gear on the floor in my workshop. Right. Okie dokie. So, painting glass and all that. So, this was quite an old model I did. This was actually one of the first things I did for Heresy. It's obviously a Rogue Trader era Rhino that I got in a trade. That's obviously I painted up as white scars. But yes, so here we've got a searchlight. Glass reflects. So the thing it's going to reflect the most is the sky. So doing it blue and painting it glossy. So going up nice and light and then using pure white as a sort of speculative highlight. I also did the same with an airbrush. More recently. Not as hard, but on the searchlight for this. So those are 2 ways of just painting it blue. You can do it with any colour. The other alternative, the really, really easy alternative, is to paint it black and then gloss varnish it. Or you can gloss varnish it and then paint like a white line through it to look like the white sheen. If it's clear plastic, like say it's a Falcon Grav tank or something, use masking fluid to paint the glass, PVA glue, anything like that, gloss varnish, and then you can paint over it and then peel it away. But just practice. Don't use, also, if it's clear plastic, don't stick it in place with super glue or plastic glue. It will all fog up. It'll frost up, it will look awful. Use PVA glue or wood glue to stick it in place. Like that, really cool art from Visions of Heresy. Yep, I love the Visions of Heresy. We love all the art from that, even if it is a bit wacky. All I need to know about Battletech is to trust in Blake's blessed words. Okay. I got a U in maths. I'm just that good. Nice going, Doc. That's why you're a doctor. What was my favourite subject? That's a really difficult question. I like history, obviously. I liked IT because I liked working on a computer. I think that was more to do with the fact that I liked sitting in front of a computer. So nowadays I go to work and sit in front of a computer, and then I come home and sit in front of a computer. And I've learnt that I'm not a big fan of IT anymore. I enjoy drama. I actually was in a production of Les Miserables, which I really enjoyed. And it turns out I can sing. We had a technical problem on the first night, and all the microphones didn't work. And I've got a big pair of lungs on me, so I didn't need my microphone. And I still heard my mother from the front row go, "Is he dubbed?" Because she didn't think it was me singing. Which I always get a chuckle about. So drama was definitely one of my favourite subjects. Acting, pretending, being loud. Having being who I am, the condition I have, and all that, I was very... How do I put this? I was constantly basically acting. Dealing with people, dealing with certain situations. You know, having autism, you struggle with social norms. So a lot of the time I was acting. I was like, okay, so I'm improvising. How would someone in a TV show deal with this situation? What would they say? And that's how I'd act. And it got me through school a bit easier than, you know, just being a complete weirdo. And then I very quickly learned that being the class clown meant less people were to bully me, which was really nice. I liked writing, I liked English, but that was probably because my English teacher was into Warhammer, so a lot of the time we ended up chatting about Warhammer. Shout out to Mr. Browning. So yeah, I'd have to say drama for just a straight up subject. I don't even know what functional skills is. We don't have stuff like that in the UK. I failed creative design, which was like woodwork, that sort of thing. Because the questions that were on the exam were things like, where are the fire extinguishers? And we hadn't been told any of this. Like, we have fire extinguishers? Like, where are the fire exits? I need to know where the fire exit is. The door's behind me. Does that count? But then I studied video games at university, and that was okay. It kind of sucked because they were like, oh yeah, you have to learn all of this on your own. You know, you should learn it on your own time. And I'm like, okay, I'm paying you $3,000 a term. Why should I learn it on my own time? So, yeah, I got kicked out of university twice. Everyone tells you in the UK that you can't fail the first year, and I apparently took that as a challenge. And I won. Twice. If you still have the guns, I'll take it off you. What guns? What do you need? Oh, what, for the Land Raider? I think I do. I'll have a look for them. Saxon edges they are. Part of the appeal to me, at least, mostly run. Small iron, yep. Are Army Painter brushes and paints alright? They're okay. They are what I would say is entry level. They are cheaper than Games Workshop, and it shows. So, yeah, it's they're not great. Is that one? No, I've got some. Their larger dry brushes are okay because they're cheap and they're big, but they do die really quickly. Honestly, cheap brushes, like these ones from ABC Brushes, the Pro Art series, you can get 6 of these for $5, and these will last longer than the Army Painter ones will. The paints, they're okay. I'd actually rate them, their baseline paints, just under Citadel, if I'm going to be brutally honest. But the bonus is that they're cheaper. If you shake the buggery out of them, they're okay. Their washes, like their dark stain, soft tone, mid tone, that they're good. They're really good. All the coloured like washes and shades are really good from them. And I hear their speed paints, their contrast like paints, are quite good. They're better than their regular acrylics, and they're a lot cheaper than the Games Workshop contrast paints. So if you're going to paint with contrast paints, give the Army Painter speed paints a go. The heads from the Chaos Marines are ace. Some of them are really good, yeah. Some of them are really bad. I prefer the older Chaos Space Marine kit. Their heads were, in my opinion, a bit better. You had some cool like Mark V stuff in there. If the Emperor's Children 40k stuff looks good, I might go back to my Siege of Terror Emperor's Children, even though they're only Single Dread and Cacophony Squad. Yeah, that's definitely a release I'm looking forward to. Cautiously. I'm worried that we'll get something that's really bad. From what I saw on that Hammer and Bolter animation, I wasn't a fan of how they looked in that. So hopefully that's just artistic license and it's not based off the models. Because frankly the current Chaos Space Marines just painted purple look great. We do a lot of narrative battles at my club once a month. I just had an all-day event, Siege of Terror, no winner. We ran out of time. To continue, we all decided. Look forward to it. Yeah, that's really cool. And having like events like that gives people reason to build new units, to try new things, to create new characters. You know, 40k tournaments, once you've got a chaplain with a jump pack and you've magnetized him, there's no reason to build another one. But in 30k narrative events, if I want a new character, I want to make something that looks like a new character. You know, I don't want to just have the same model magnetized, because this one represents an actual person, someone who existed in fiction, obviously, but someone who existed in the setting. I've actually gone off magnets. I'd much rather have more than one unit, because it gives me a chance to build something different. And yeah, that's going to cost more money, but this is the hobby I pay for. Phone's about to die. We'll get my charger up and right back in a couple of minutes. Bando, if you're still on stream, thanks for taking the time to answer. Wraith, that's what I'm here for. Don't worry. These streams usually run 2 or 3 hours. Yeah, give us a song. Get Bent. Autumn is like, what would Ryan Gosling do? It really is sometimes. It really is. It's really bad, because like watching things like Family Guy, like in my late teens, early 20s, and you'll have a conversation with someone and you're like, oh, I could say this really offensive thing right now and it would be really funny. Catch you later, Doc. And you know, I like force myself to stop saying it, because I'm on the spectrum enough to enjoy it, but not enough to be oblivious to it. So it's like being a passenger in a car I'm not driving. I'm back. Well, welcome back, Wraith. That was handy. Ready to take note on your glass techniques. I don't know if you saw it already, but yeah, you can. I have answered that, so just go back and rewatch it. It's in there. I recall in woodwork for the final exam, it was guaranteed to come up. We weren't taught. Yeah, there was loads of that in my school. I never did well at school, but that's because, you know, undiagnosed autism and bullying, lots of bullying, which then I turned around and did to people below me, because that's what you do when you get bullied, and it's not something I'm proud of. One of the things I am proud of is being told to go and keep an eye on a bunch of younger students for physical education, because the teachers were focusing on like the #1 sports team, and they just wanted to play wrestling. So I was about 14, maybe 13, and these kids are about 9, and I was just picking them up and suplexing them and pile driving them into the mud, and they loved it. It was so funny. I nearly killed a child. That looks a lot like my own desk. Damn it, he's onto me. I've got to pack up and leave now. Probably because it's an IKEA desk as well. I would say this is mind-numbing, but I haven't got a mind to start with. Oh. The one Mark V tech head from the old kit is amazing for any tech trader characters like Praevians and Warsmith. Yes, yeah. My favourite was the head that comes on the old Chaos Rhino upgrade sprue, where he's got like the rebreather, but it's got the strap across the top of his head. That's one of my favourite. And then the one with the rebreather and the top knot, which I think was in the Chaos Space Marine kit, but it might have been on the biker kit. What club do I go to? Hi, Doghouse. First of all, big fan of your work, Doghouse. Your True Scale stuff back in the day was some of the best work I'd ever seen. I think you had a massive impact on the old community. I go to a couple of clubs in this town. Well, obviously you should know where I am. The Sad Muppets, and I also go to, or I'll be going to Bastion, which is having an event tomorrow. Yes, I've got a White Scar with the respirator head on. I don't know where the model is. I've probably stripped it by now. But yeah, it was a great head. Chaos bits work really well for White Scars. What I really want is a plastic Heresy upgrade sprue, like the Black Templars one, but just for each legion. Just an interesting pack of bits and doodads and fetishes and weapons and just stuff to make them look interesting. Not whole packs of heads like the Forge World ones, but just a couple of bits and pieces. A bit bigger than the current Primaris ones. Yeah, like the Black Templars one. That would be really cool. I don't think I've got a Moritat in my White Scars army. I think I started one. I think I was going to do a bolt pistol one. I've got one in my Ultramarines, who I have not painted yet. I will eventually get round to painting this guy. And I haven't got one in my Sons of Horus yet either. I do have one for my 1,000 Sons though, I know that. I was doing the Destroyer Rise of War from 1.0 Centurions back in... Oh yeah, that was a really good one. Yeah. I have no destroyers in any of my armies. Of literally like the dozen armies I have, none of them have any destroyers in them. Because there's no easy way of doing them. So that's really annoying. Oop, that's a bit thick. There you go, that's better. I've always loved the idea of a Night Lord's destroyer army. Yeah, I don't know. That kind of strikes me as a bit weird. The Night Lords using destroyers seems counterproductive to me. Like of all the legions, the Night Lords to me strike me as the ones who'd want to keep you alive the longest. Although the idea that, they've been hunting you and they've been, picking off your people, and then maybe they've left and you're like, oh, we've survived, the raid's over. And then the destroyers turn up and just start killing your planet around you. And I have started my next Night Lord unit, but I've got to wait for some more guys to turn up. I also plan on getting one of the new knights for them, but I don't know which one yet. I'll probably put that up to a vote, because I don't care which one it is. Ooh. I'll tell you what, putting up my hobby decisions to a vote on YouTube has been really fun. It's been kind of liberating almost, because I've got these models. I've got lots of models. I have a spending problem. Not anymore. I've managed to stop myself, but I bought a lot of models, and it didn't really matter where they went. I didn't have a plan of where they were going to go. And putting it up for a vote and saying, hey, I've got this, I don't know, unit of las cannon, heavy weapons guys. Who should get them? Has been really interesting, because it's like, okay, Sons of Horus have won this vote. How do I make this unit really fit the Sons of Horus aesthetic? Especially when it's a unit that doesn't really match that army. Like the... like the Venator, which I've now done some metallics on. I need to do the black again. So that's on the list. It's in the book. I can imagine the destroyers come out for Xenos, or when the population doesn't so much as budge on the terror tactics. Yeah. I mean, that's actually the fluff for my Night Lords, is they prefer hunting aliens over anyone else. So they often get called cowards, because in the middle of an attack on, an Imperial target, a target that needs bringing to compliance or whatever, they would just disappear and ride off into the sunset because, oh look, orcs. And they've decided that they don't want anything to do with the heresy, so they're just hiding in a little backwater away from everyone. And then the Blood Angels turn up and it all goes tits up. I reckon we'll get a load more Rights of War in the next couple of campaign books, so I reckon we'll get a destroyer one eventually. Maybe with the Siege of Barbarous, because it would fit both the Dark Angels and the Death Guard, kind of. point of view. Because what's the point of defending your homeworld if it's never going to be there eventually, or it's not going to be there, so you might as well burn it to the ground. An Emperor's Children pack with cacophony weapons, phoenix weapons, and some heads would be lovely. Yeah. A bunch of really cool heads, some torso bits, and with all the Marines being the same kind of pose, they're very easy to make those weapons fit multiple models. So you can do things like new chest plates, new lower legs, that sort of thing. Can you imagine an Iron Hands one that had like a load of bionic arms and legs that fit the Mark 6 and Mark 3 kits? That'd be really cool. It would also never be in stock. I can imagine the destroyers come out for Oh, I've done that bit. What if the Night Lords got some weird Xenos virus? Or something that melted your skin but kept the person alive? Oh, that'd be horrible. That would be horrible. I think that's exactly what happened to the Death Guard, wasn't it? It was, you've got all these sicknesses that would kill any normal man, but because you're just so tough, you can't die. And I think they even chopped a guy up and flushed him out of an airlock and he was still alive because Nurgle just wouldn't let them die. And that's really messed up. Oh god, a World Eater's pack with spare cadre weapons. Yeah. World Eaters one would be really easy to do. You'd have a bunch of bear heads. You'd have some really cool respirator heads. You'd have some chain weapons, meteorite hammers, that sort of thing. Cadre weapons, falxes, that sort of thing. Have I ever tried sculpting something? Yes, I have, badly. Yeah, I'm not very good at sculpting. A Night Lord's pack would be really easy as well. You'd have chain glaives, just some wicked chain swords, lots of tarots and trophies and stuff, and some cool terror heads in there. But I would focus on things like bear heads that really fit the Legion, because if you look at the most recent Space Marine head upgrade, the bear head packs, none of those heads fit Death Guard, Night Lords, World Eaters particularly well. I think we need a specifically traitor one, or one for people like the Raven Guard or the Alpha Legion. Alpha Legion head upgrade pack, and it's literally just 10 of the same head. Imagine, so what happens to the Death Guard on the way to Terra is pure horror. Imagine a story about that happening from the perspective of a human crew member. It'd be 8 pages long. It would be, Terry got the sniffles, and the next thing you know, he was dead. There's 6 months now he doesn't see because he's already dead. I'm actually planning a Siege of Terror Death Guard army at some point. Again, doing the wrong thing for the Legion, so it's going to be all jet bikes and speeders, but also all the bloaty, Death Guard. And I got the old Forge World Death Guard upgrade kit to use for that. Not legitimately, but Yes, I have seen an Alpha Legion Force, James, that's just like that, and it was all using the same head, which looked great. I've actually started painting a load of bases for an Alpha Legion force, because they'll be fighting against my Proto Nova Marines. so I'm just painting the bases at the same time. Because that's who I intend to use the Mark III bits for, because I want to try and buy at least one of those box sets. Mainly because I do want a Derridor Dreadnought and I need another Land Raider. So I might as well buy it with a shitload of Mark III Marines. I really like them. I also really liked the Khorne Berserker one they did, and the Terminators. They were really cool. I keep planning to use them for some World Eaters, but I get carried away with the shopping basket. What I really want to do is I want to do some metallic green Thousand Suns for some reason. I can't find any reason to do it. There's nothing in the fluff to say that they ever have like alternate colour schemes like that. But I just love the idea of doing a Thousand Suns Heresy era army in like a metallic green. And it's bugging me because I think it would look cool. Yes, James, and Legio 14 guy on Cults does that exact jump pack, the big round one. He does that exact jump pack based on that piece of artwork. Yeah, there's a lot of Forge World kits that I wish they'd made. I wish they'd continued their Talon range. I wish the Badab War stuff had been expanded. Like, we got 1 unit or 2 units of extra Red Scorpions. So why can't we get an extra unit for like the Mantis Warriors or the Astral Claws or anything like that? How do I paint red leather armour? Well, that's an interesting one. Well, red leather. Well, first of all, you have to know that red leather is extremely cursed. If you know anything about the occult. It depends how you want to do it. Because basically you've got 2 options. You can either do it as a really bright red, in which case it's literally just paint red and then highlight up to... Don't go like pink, but you do spot highlights of white. The other alternative is to start from a reddy brown, like African, I think it's called African Shadow by Scale 75, and then you take the highlight up to red. So if you're using like a GW paint, start with Rhinox Hide, then a 50-50 mix of Rhinox Hide and a red, something like a... You wouldn't want to use Wild Rider or whatever it is, the really bright one. You'd want to use a darker, more purpley red. You'd want to mix some purple in there at some point, and then just take it up to red. I think Badab had the same problem, a bunch of characters with rules and no models. Yeah, it did. Badab came at the wrong time, basically. Could you please show me the back of that Terminator? I'm trying to make a sculpt of one, and you'd be surprised how little pictures of Terminators from the back there are. Of course. So Tartarus Terminators have like a little power pack at the back. So get you a bit closer. There you go. I hope that's enough. And that plasma cannon is from the Death Wing Terminators. And it counts as a Etherfire, I think it is. Etherfire plasma gun. Plasma cannon. And there's the squad sergeant, just so you see. With his snappy little beak things. Fuck us. I talked about how in the show The Office, they sang like a single line from a song, and it cost them $90,000 in copyright fees. I told that to my mother this evening, and now I can't get 2 tickets to Paradise out of my head. And I'm not going to sing it on stream because I can't afford $90,000. No, that's everyone who needs the black painting on them. Oh, that's good. It's worn the gold off some of them as well. That's really handy. Turns out this foam is not the best to keep models in. It's quite abrasive. So I've got some breaches I'm working on. And the breacher sergeant whose shield has fallen off. So that's good. And the main man himself. Ooh. There we go, you can see that a bit better now. So yeah, I've used the combi weapon is half of the it's from the vehicle sprue. Random bits from random kits, Eldar swords, bits from Thousand Sons Terminators, and from the Sorcerer's kits. All the combi bolters are from the Cataphracti kit because I prefer them. The round drum mag looks more barbaric in my opinion. The extra hip armor is from the Wraith Guard. There's the other plasma cannon. And the hammers are all just from Mark III kits, and I just drilled out the hands and stuffed them through. Because who doesn't like hammers? I got my Esoterrorist. I need to get some... I want to get some Scorpion models, some like big Scorpions to be his summoned demon brutes. I'm quite proud of this model. Apart from his power fist is hidden behind his shield, because I couldn't figure out how to get it working properly with what I had. And then a Mortificator. Or a Praevian, it could be, I suppose. Some random tech sorcerer type with another power fist, because we all like power fists. And, oh look, he's got the weird new style Mark II armor, or Mark III armor, that Leaky Cheese seems to be so absolutely obsessed with. So yeah, that's the big expansion for my Thousand Sons. And a random kit bashed model that I had no idea what I was doing with, so I just threw it in there anyway. Who looks super Thousand Suns-ish. Forge World Red Scorpions were the test bed for the Heresy. I think it was Will Hayes who created them first for his own Death Guard, but Forge World weren't confident to do Heresy, which is why we got Bad Ab. Yeah, basically. Yes, what was it? 2012-ish? 2011? Yeah, it was a good time. I really enjoyed it. How do you avoid getting a bad back painting while sitting down for long periods of time? Wraith, that's my secret. I always have a bad back. I'm 36 years old. It's my natural state of being. But the truth is, you just have to get up and stretch. You have to stand up, walk around for a bit. You have to just pop your back out. And take handfuls of painkillers. Is Gorilla Glue gel okay to use on resin? If it's basically just like a gel super glue, then yes. I wouldn't use too much of it. Test it on some off-cut bits, some sprue bits, see if they stick together. Definitely try to use a smaller amount than you would normally, because you don't want it squooging out between the parts and getting everywhere. But cheap super glue's fine. Scorpion Familiar would be cool. Yeah, I want like 2 giant kind of desert scorpions. That's like his thing. He's just summoned these things from out of the desert wastes around Tizika and stuff. And I love the idea of... I really want to get the brass scorpion kit now and add it to this army, because I think it would look really cool. And then when the Thousand Suns, when the Tomb Kings come out, I will pick up some of them, and I'll be able to use a load of bits onto the brass scorpion kit, and I will, be able to make that look a lot more Thousand Suns-ish. Well, that's the plan, at least. What do I think of the new Mark III? Most people in my area I've talked to hate it, but it kind of sucks. The new box body, but yeah. That is a controversial topic at the moment. I'm not a fan of the plastic Mark III. I don't like the heads. The heads are too small. The heads are a bad design. I don't mind the spikes on there, but I wouldn't keep them for most units. I don't like the new bolters. I don't like the armour in general. But if you look at the new Space Wolf Praetor, there's a few bits in his armour that fixes the issues I have with this armour. Like, he has... I don't have a Mark III Marine here, but I do have some Mark III Marines here. Shut your mouth, boy. So, like, he's got this armour here. This lip. He's also got this bit here filled in. And he also has... if I can get more of this style of collar. And that's missing from the majority of the plastic kits. Or the new plastic kit, sorry. I think part of the problem with the new plastic Mark III is the studio paint job. The studio paint job is a really weak paint job. Their Sons of Horus on the Mark VI stuff, it's just badly done. It's a bit too dark, and it's a bit too plain. They really should be using... So that's the thing. This is the problem with Games Workshop, right? They want their box art to be something that's achievable for your average painter. So they're like, hey, we're gonna take just our basic Space Marine, like this, and it's got a nice simple paint job that your average person can do. And then you've got someone comes along and they've got, this is what they're putting out instead. Not to say I'm, better, but... And this is a lot more detail. Well, if this was the box art and it showed what you could do, or at least this was shown off more, maybe not on the box art, but in the articles, because if they showed it off with better basing, with better painting, with the Forge World decal sheets and that sort of thing, it would definitely look better, and I think it would get people more hyped for the release of the models. Personally, that's what I think. I think the desperate appeal to the lowest common denominator is a losing strategy. If you look at other creators like Rackham, I'm always going to use Rackham as a... Let me see if I can actually pull up a picture of some Rackham stuff. Oh, I can't even spell today. Let's find a good one. Man, I miss Rackham miniatures. They were. That will do lovely. Go away. Paste. So Rackham, they used loads of non-metallic metal in their paint jobs, and they really pushed the boat out, you know, in the sense of like professional paint jobs for their box art. And this was not achievable for like a 12-year-old. These guys were multiple Golden Demon award-winning painters who were putting out these models. And, you know, it inspired people. The amount of people I know who got into this because they just saw how absolutely fantastic these models were. And then loads of people learnt how to do non-metallic metals because of it. This guy especially was one of my favourites. Ooh. Like, that's just badass. And I don't think you can get them. I mean, actually, no, maybe you can now. Oh, it looks like they might be doing them in 3D prints rather than back in metal. Oh, I'm definitely have to look that up. But yeah, they had just really fantastic models, really well painted, really pushed the boat out just over the top for their box art. And if you look at Arkwald, so these guys who I saw the other day, who I'm really looking forward to painting, this little guy, he looks so much fun. They really push, you know, some good quality painting on their box art. And I think that inspires people, because if you're a kid and you look at something and you go, wow, that's absolutely amazing, it's going to fire your imagination. If you look at your box art of a bunch of Space Marines and it looks like it's just been sprayed blue and then has like a lighter blue line on it, it's not going to be as inspiring, in my opinion. So yeah, I think the new Mark III are going to be good for just adding a new armor mark, but I think they're pretty mediocre in terms of a release. I think the posing is lazy. I think the excuse of we're making them compatible with the heavy weapons is lazy. There is nothing As long as you've got a standardised torso width, there's nothing about the poses that affects the heavy weapons realistically. That's just a... I mean, it's a lie, basically. They are telling porcupines to sell you models with as little work as possible. I'm a bit worried about what they're going to do for Mark V, because if they're obsessed with following older artwork for stuff, some of the older artwork for Mark V is not great. Same with Mark IV and Mark II, to be honest. Remember to be very well ventilated when using superglue. I made the mistake and now it makes me literally ill. Yes, yeah, don't do what I do. I sit here, I've got 2 windows open next to me, but I keep the door closed. When I use my airbrush, this room is just filled with haze. It is not good. I very regularly forget to wear my respirator. All sorts. Don't do what I do. I'm killing myself doing it, and I know I'm doing it stupidly. Also, this piece of safety advice I will give you for free. If you are ever building a Forge World resin kit and you need to bend a piece using a little bit of heat, and you've superglued the piece in one corner, let the superglue dry before you start using a hairdryer to bend it. Because otherwise you effectively just create tear gas when you superheat the superglue. And I thought I was supergluing my eyes shut. It's so painful. So, my pain and suffering is your education. There is a scene from The Simpsons where Homer tries to build a grill and then compares it to the box art with what he created. Yeah, that's very accurate for what it's like painting Space Marines. Give me a second. Let me go grab another model. I want to underline something here. So, about 30 years ago, boomer time, I saved up my pocket money, my £2.50 a week pocket money, and I bought a £15 starter paint set, which was a red box with a red-handled paintbrush in it, with... No, they weren't screw top, they were pop-top white paint pots, hexagonal ones. That's how old it was. And it came with a Chaos Warrior and a Space Marine. I still have that first ever model I painted. Okay? This is painted over a hand-painted white undercoat. This is the fabled Goblin Green. And I think Sunburst Yellow. Mithril Silver, Chaos Black, and probably Blood Red. This is not what the box art looked like. At all. But, because it didn't look like the box art, I knew that the next model I painted had to be better. And I pushed myself to be better. And now, let's grab the next nearest green model I painted. I'd like to think I've improved. I do actually want to try and get another one of those Chaos Warriors at some point and have a go at painting him nowadays. But they're so expensive on eBay for some reason. Yeah, the removal of the Mark III when the new ones got announced always sucks. I remember when they announced that Betrayal at Calth and Burning for Prospero were going end of life. It was... The article went live at about 11:30-ish, maybe 11:45. And I read the article popped up. I hit refresh, read the article, stood up, turned to my boss, and went, "I'm taking my lunch now." Walked out of the office, straight into Reading Town Centre, to their Games Workshop, and grabbed the last copy of Betrayal at Calth off the shelf. I didn't check my bank account. I didn't think about it. I just went, brand new, £80. Here you go. Thank you very much. And then I think I went on to. I think I maybe went to Darksphere and saw if they had any, and they'd already sold out. And then about a week later, I was in Basingstoke's Games Workshop, and I noticed they had a Burning of Prospero on the wall. And I was like, "Hey, is that still for sale?" And he's like, yeah, no one wants that, so yeah, feel free. And I literally snatched it out of the guy's hand and paid full retail for that as well. So yeah, if they gave us a little bit of warning. But the problem is they won't, because that affects their FOMO too much. They need you to be in a constant state of worry that the models you want to get are going to disappear at any moment. Feels like spite from Games Workshop. It's not spite per se, it's just really aggressive marketing. Like I said, they desperately want you to just... New models come out and you snap it up there and then to make sure you get it. You know, don't budget, don't think, don't plan, just buy. One of the things I hate the most with new modelling styles is the combining of torsos in the legs. Absolutely hate it. Can't stand it. Worst decision Games Workshop's made in recent history, in my opinion. It's just a step backwards. It is absolutely a step backwards. Functionally, there's no difference between, say, this guy who is an easy to build, single pose model from the starter set from, I think, 7th edition, and then a model that came out in 8th or 9th edition. These are effectively now the same model. In fact, they kind of are. They're even the same bloody pose. Because this guy can't be reposed particularly easily. A little easier than this guy can, but still not very easily at all. Oh. Versus, say... I'm throwing models all over the place. These guys... Actually, it's a really bad example, because that's actually one of the Space Marine Heroes ones. So he's actually a single part model as well. This guy will do better. Who I've combined parts here from 4 different kits. Probably 5 different kits. I've got the legs from the Vanguard Veterans. I've got a torso from a Mark IV. I've got a head from the Mark VII Breacher kit, and then I've got the Volkite from Forge World. I've got... pretty sure that shoulder pads from the Iron Hands or Black Templars upgrade kit. Old Black Templar upgrade kit. And then Mark IV for the arms. And I can have him in that pose. The chances of someone else having that exact pose are very slim. You know? Same with this guy. You know, same sort of mix of parts. And it's unique to me. You don't see heavy weapons teams running around the battlefield. But they have to move. So maybe they're sprinting between cover. Maybe they're reinforcing someone. So, yeah, I'm not a big fan of it at all. I, of course, will go out of my way to convert models to be as ridiculous as I want. This guy's massive, by the way. He is considerably bigger than your standard Mark VI Marine. So yeah, I get why they do it, I just wish they didn't, basically. Finished my rampages, by the way. They look absolutely beastly. Very happy with how they came out. Fantastic. Fantastic. It's always good when they come out how you want them to look. There is nothing worse than putting together a unit that in your head looked fantastic, and then you look at them and go, well, they're just pants. The only thing they would have had to need to fit the heavy weapons is have the torso the same width, and just make the heavy weapons packs the arms and hands and weapons, but no needed to copy paste poses. More or less, yes. It is also the legs. So here we go. To carry a heavy bolter like this, for example, we can't have this leg forward particularly. But if it's a las cannon, it doesn't really matter. Like you said, just have the upper torsos. So yeah, it's a cope. It's absolutely a cope. Yeah. So, were I ever into Warhammer Fantasy? Yes, I was briefly. Well, not briefly. I always liked Warhammer Fantasy. I loved the setting. I couldn't get on with the game because it was always such a big game. It needed a lot of money, and it was a bit of a pain. See you, Rutger. Thanks for coming along. Yeah, it was always a bit of a pain to get into. I had a small Empire army briefly, but ranking up models into a block wasn't something that interested me because I like modelling and painting. So Age of Sigmar is actually better for me gameplay-wise because I can express myself with my models. Pity it's a crappy setting and awful models. So I had a High Elf army when I was a kid. It was my first proper army. I never finished it, I never painted much of it. I learned very quickly you can't mix yellow and silver because it goes green. So I couldn't afford a gold paint. And then when I worked at Games Workshop, I tried to get into it. I bought a huge amount of the vampire counts when they released things like the corpse cart. I bought heavily into that, and then played one game of it before I went off to university, and then never played it again. And in fact, I've used most of the parts from that kit or kits to convert other things. So yeah, I will be getting into it. I will be getting into the old world when it comes out. I don't know what army I'll be doing. It depends heavily on how they decide to do the release. I may just pick up one of these rumoured starter box sets, because apparently it's going to be 2 separate box sets that have the rules and a basic army in them. And it's Tomb Kings or Bretonnians. I like both those armies. My favourite Bretonnian character is not going to be usable because she doesn't get born for another like 300 years. And I can't have Jules le Jungler. But maybe Bretonnians, maybe Tomb Kings, maybe an Empire army would be fun. Ultimately, I want to do a High Elf army some point, but it will very much depend on how they roll it out. So yeah, it was a long-winded answer to that one. I remember the first model I ever painted, I did with crappy 99-cent acrylic paints. Tried to paint the Dark Vengeance box as Thousand Suns. It was terrible. Hey, we all start somewhere. We've all made the mistake of buying the wrong paints and trying to use them, which can lead to some really interesting things. So yeah, but you're still here and you're still painting, so that's good. Yeah, the last set that were fully posable, I think, were the Thousand Suns. They kind of were with the Death Guard. The Death Guard were kind of halfway between. Like they had some that were posable, some that weren't. I just love kit bashing. Kit bashing is part of this hobby that's way too much fun. The standardization of the Marine range was probably the smartest thing Games Workshop's ever done, because it meant it doesn't matter what I'm buying from the Marine range, I can combine it with my army in some way, shape or form and add it in there. Games Workshop even had an old painting / build for Space Marines that talked about how important posing was. It is. Posing is really, really important for models. Posing for models is one of those things that's really tricky and can make a okay model into a really, really good model. Nothing rustles my jimmies quite as much as people who buy Contemptor Dreadnoughts and then put them in the most static upright pose, like the old Castafer, or was it Rigor Mortis pattern? That was what they called it, the Rigor Mortis one. You've got this incredibly posable model. Why are you using the most boring pose possible? Also, I'm going to show you the base that I've planned for this guy. I just have a shoebox full of bases now. I've been consolidating down all my models. So this is the base I'll be using for him. It's only got one coat of red. I still need to do Evil Sun's Scarlet and Wild Rider, but I think both of these are dried out, so they need replacing. So yeah, I've got this cool like firing smoke grenade. You see it's all hissing out of the grenade at the bottom, and yeah, he's going to be kind of just. And then I've got another one, but I haven't got the parts for it, where he's going to be walking up some stairs. I haven't even planned to do an Alpha Legion Dreadnought yet. That's unlike me. The last time they did something to mess really hard with modelling was when they swapped the torso attachments around out of nowhere. Yes. That was a complete ball ache. And was 100% done to spite people. There's no production reason that was done. There was no manufacturing reason to do that. And yeah, that was 100% done just to wind people up. It was done to make people's older models difficult to resell, basically. Yeah, people just can't pose dreadnoughts. And it annoys me, it really does. So, yeah, I looked at buying another Leviathan today, and it actually turns out it's about $5 cheaper to buy a Leviathan in the UK in plastic than it is to get one in resin from China now. Which is really depressing. Yeah, they have so much potential. You can buy, a box of Space Marines, a tactical squad, an assault marine squad, a devastator squad, and yeah, you can still have 3 squads there, but they will look unique to you. A devastator squad full of guys that are running, a bunch of static assault marines who are actually having a sword fight. They're not just jumping around, they're actually stood still fighting. Tactical marines that are running. I've seen it before where you've had entire squads using the assault marine legs, and it just looks really cool to have tactical squads that are all advancing. I even saw one guy who had an entire squad kneeling down. That looked quite cool as well. Much harder with other factions like Nids. Yeah, it is. The Orcs are still pretty good for it. The Tau are pretty good for it. The Fire Warriors, the Breachers, the Pathfinders all work well together. The problem is that most of the armies, their units are all different. You know, Leagues of Votann, you've got the Halfkin, you've got the Rangers, you've got bikes, you've got vehicles, you've got mech suits. Tau, you've got battle suits, you've got fire warriors, you've got more battle suits, more battle suits, some more battle suits. Imperial Guard, you've got infantry, you've got tanks, more tanks, more tanks, more tanks, and more tanks, bigger tanks, even bigger tanks, even bigger tanks, and flyers. And then Space Marines, you've got Space Marines. You've got Close Combat Space Marines, you've got Long Range Space Marines, you've got Heavy Space Marines, you've got Bernie Space Marines, Plasma Bernie Space Marines, Graviton Bernie Space Marines, you've got Sneaky Space Marines, you've got Lightly Armoured Space Marines, and they're all compatible. They're all the same guy. Nids you can kit bash a lot. If you're if you're really kind of going a bit ham, you can convert up Nids to be really, really impressive. Nids don't get tanks, Havoc. Pay attention. So yeah, you can have some really interesting conversions with Tyranids. I really want to paint the old Carnifex. I've never painted the old Carnifex. I really want to have a go with it. I just tried to scratch my ear with a scalpel blade. It's time for me to go to sleep. Have fun. Joseph, go to bed. Don't cut yourself. I've been there, done that. It's not fun. Stay safe. Have a great evening. Oh yeah, I forgot. I picked these up as well. Some MP Miniatures paints. They're apparently relatively new company on the market. I haven't tried them out yet at all. One thing that's really interesting about them, apart from the fact that the pots are absolutely massive, which is really cool, and they're only about £3.30 as well for 30 millilitres, which I don't know how big these are. 17, so yeah, double the size. That's not bad. There is nothing there. There's no nozzle, no nothing. It's just an empty pot. So these are going to get spilt like crazy, although they are pretty big. About the same size as same size as a Games Workshop pot, so they'll fit inside any GW paint stand. There's purple in this brown, which is good. So I'll give them a go at some point and let you know how they are. I only got two because it was, quite expensive. That's a lovely looking brown. Look at that. Like two little Maltesers. These were got from... what was their name? I can't remember now. But I got some Egyptian themed scenery from them as well. I was really disappointed. There's always this this is one manufacturer that is at a lot of the UK expos, and I can never find out the name of their business, but they have like the most random hand cast resin scenery that's always like really over the top, really heavy, like Egyptian obelisks, that sort of thing. And I always like to pick up loads of their stuff while I'm at these shows, and they weren't there this time. So disappointed. Okay, they were kickstarted by RPE. That's cool. Alright, I'll have to have a look at those then. Lord Commander, I thought you just said running machines are very underrated, and I took that as a personal attack, because I ain't got no running machine. I walk to work. That's enough exercise for me, thanks. Yeah, I'll have to try them out. If I like them, I'll order some more of them. And if they do a starter box set for the paint, and I think that's something that's really important. Not a lot of people seem to be doing this at the moment, is starter sets for paints. Give me a box with like 5 or 10 paints for a little bit less than they would be separately. And, give me that. Because then I can just order that, and that gives me a taster of your paints. I don't have to try and figure out what colours to buy, where I'm going to fit them in, that sort of thing. I still haven't figured out where the hell I'm going to use putrid green pus from. Maybe the optics on my squats. But But I get, like, so the guys who were asking about Army Painter, I'd skip Army Painter and I'd go straight to TT Combat. They're about the same price. Infinitely better paints. Infinitely better. Oh. Right, well, I've painted all the black on everything, and I'm running out of things to talk about. And it's been 2 hours already, so I think I'm going to call it there, guys, unless anyone's got any further questions. I'll report back on what happens tomorrow. I've been invited to have a game of Necromunda as well, so I might end up playing that, which could be quite fun. But yeah. Yeah, running's overrated, man. Like, people who run injure themselves. I saw a video today of these two guys. They're at work and they're messing around and they decide to have like a little race. And one of them's a bit of a chunky fellow. And the chunky guy, he runs, he falls over. And he lands face first, but his momentum flips his whole body over. He literally does like a handstand. And I just cringed watching it because I'm like, that's going to happen to me if I ever start running anywhere. No, I don't want to die. I don't want to lose my teeth or break my nose when I hit the ground. Yeah. I've messaged these manufacturers about the 3D printed stuff. I will let you guys know if they turn up. It's I can't believe it's been so long. I'm gonna pick some stuff up from a different manufacturer on payday. Hopefully they have a better turnaround. I think the next one I'll get is some really heavily armoured sponsons for a Spartan. Yeah, I will, because the whole idea is I want to just give you guys a review of some 3D printed manufacturers for those of you who haven't got printers. And so far the review is going really badly for someone. But yeah. Okay, well, that's about it, guys. My name is Bando. This has been Bando's Messy Stream. Get on with your work. Finish your models. Text your parents and tell them how much you love them this weekend.